I'd like to welcome all of our students. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Thank you for remaining consistent during this course. We are now on the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. There's 18 in total, so more than halfway through. And this is a really amazing chapter. So let's just do a very, very quick overview of the previous 9 chapters. So Krishna's main man, he didn't want to fight. He had weakness of heart. That's Arjun, because he saw the relatives on the other side and he thought, I can't kill them. And he asked Krishna for help. And Krishna reveals his true identity as soul. The bodily relationship is temporary. It's not eternal, but he then describes the eternal position of the soul. And he also describes the duties of the soul and the nature of the person who does the duty. And then in chapter 3, Krishna describes about how one can avoid doing duty with detachment to the fruit. So being detached from the results and then setting an example to the world, and also how to avoid sinful reactions, especially lust. And then 4th chapter discusses about transcendental knowledge, how knowledge is passed down and the importance of acquiring knowledge, especially from the guru. The 5th chapter talks about, again, karma yoga, but much more in line with bhakti yoga. And that the impact it has on the person who follows karma yoga properly. 6th chapter, Krishna talks about the mind and how it's a friend and how it's an enemy as well. And also takes Arjun through the challenges of doing Astanga yoga, because that's what Arjun wanted to do. He wanted to get away from the battle and go to the forest, sit and meditate. But Krishna showed him that it's not so easy to do that. And then he also Krishna describes what happens to the unsuccessful yogi. 7th chapter is beginning of Bhakti Yoga, where Krishna describes where he can be found in this world, and also who approaches him, who doesn't approach him, and what is the impact of worshipping the demigods, the devatas. One who worships the devatas goes to the planets of the devatas, which is still in this world. 8th chapter, Arjun fires a whole lot of questions at Krishna. And then Krishna focuses on the last question. What happens at the time of death? Really important chapter. And then the 9th chapter, which we did last week, he explains his inconceivable nature, how it's very, very difficult to understand Krishna. And he also describes the value of serving him compared to other living beings. And he also describes a little bit of more of where he can be found in this world and his forgiving nature. Good. So that's a basic summary of the 9 chapters that we've done so far. And just a very quick summary of the 10th chapter, which is called The Opulence of the Absolute. Such a wonderful chapter. People complain that they can't see God, right? Often this is a big complaint. I can't see him, so he can't be existing. He's not manifest in person before us. So people don't have any direct experience. Show me God, they say, especially the atheists, those who don't believe in God. If you show me God, then I'll believe you. So Krishna explains the spiritualist can simultaneously, at the same time, perceive God. He's the source of all the creation, and also see God within this creation. But this requires a little bit more than just a intellectual exercise. It is much more than just reading and absorbing. It's actually calls for some transformation of consciousness, i.e. we've got to change the way we think. And the revelation will come It'll come from within, it'll come from outside as well. And then there's 4 themes, as always. Krishna explains, you're my friend. That's why I'm telling you all this. And then there's 4 verses here from 8 to 11, which is the absolute essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Very important verses. And if possible, you can try to commit them to memory at some point in your life. He explains that Lord is source of everything, how the devotees interact with him, how he reveals himself, and how he destroys the devotees' ignorance. And then Arjuna accepts Krishna as the supreme, as many sages also accept Krishna. It's not that because Arjun's a buddy of Krishna, he accepts him as supreme. There are many sages who also do the same. And he wants to know more about the Lord, which is very natural. If you love somebody, you want to know everything about them. So, and then Krishna explains some of his opulences, some of his potencies found in this world. So I'll hand over to our extremely knowledgeable and kind-hearted Sanjana. Thank you, Sanjana.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful to see you all. Thank you all for coming today for chapter 10, which is the opulence of the absolute. So as usual, we'll start with some reading, which everyone's got into the habit too. So we've got lots of hands up. We'll start with Mira.
Text 1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. Text 2. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and the sages. Text 3. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only, undeluded among men, is freed from all sins. Text 4 to 5. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone.
Well read.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Would you like to do these last 2 verses as well?
Okay. Text 6. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. Text 7. One who is factually convinced of this opulence and mystic power of mine engages in unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Very nicely read. So a summary of just these introductory verses 1 to 7. So we get a few things that Krishna reveals to Arjuna. He reveals further how, Krishna is quite inconceivable. And so to know his opulences and his origin fully is quite out of our reach in many ways. But he says that he can divulge even more to Arjuna, as Arjuna is a dear friend of his. And by extension, on our behalf, Arjuna is kind of acquiring this information for us. So we kind of are able to get this access through the Gita. So we learn how Krishna is unborn and beginningless. So I think we've had many previous questions before about this idea of time. And I think this is another reminder that time works differently outside of the material world as well. So it's not only about just kind of beginning, middle, end, but actually time is longer, and it's more eternal, and it can be shaped however Krishna likes it. And he's kind of outside of time as well, because there's no sort of beginning in that sense. It's just eternal. we also learn how Krishna is the source of all the qualities in us. So it talks about how he's the source of the Manus, who are the people who kind of where we originate from, the kind of original men in a way, and how the sages came from his mind. So the kind of qualities in us of the way that we act, what we can do, all of this, Krishna is the source of. And just to re-emphasize again, Krishna reveals this to Arjuna because there is a personal relationship there with his dear friend. And just like Nabi Prabhu was saying at the beginning, our knowledge of God comes once we cultivate our own relationships with Krishna. So the more that we engage with him and do our bhakti, the more that we find is revealed in our heart about the opulences of Krishna as well, because you've established that personal connection with the Lord. So thinking about those kind of connections that you can have with the Lord, there are 5 personal rasas, or personal relationships that one can have with Lord Krishna. The first of those is Sansaras, and that is a neutral kind of state. So I think an example that we often get is if you're like a blade of grass in the spiritual world, you're in a position of Sansaras where you can neutrally observe and are kind of a part of a landscape of the past times of Krishna. So that's one relationship. Then we have Dasyaras. This is the servant position, which, you know, for us maybe in the material world sounds like you're being relegated or something, but actually it's a really highly exalted position in the spiritual world to be serving Krishna. I mean, in every single one of these you're serving Krishna, but yeah, it's a really exalted position. Sakyaras, which is the one that we've seen between Arjuna and Krishna, is one of friendship. Vatsayaras is parental, so that's like the one with the Yashoda Mata and Krishna, a very, very powerful parental relationship there. And then Madhuryaras, which is conjugal love. And I think the strongest example of this is very difficult to attain this particular relationship, but the gopis have this particular relationship with Krishna as well. It's a very intimate relationship, one of joy and song, and very, very close and intimate. So these are the 5 rasas here, just a brief overview of those. And when you return to the spiritual world, you'll kind of take up whatever rasa you were already having with Krishna before we came to the material world.
Very well explained, yeah. And even whilst here, once we become a little bit more devoted to the Lord, we will get a natural affection for the Lord in one of these rasas, depending on which one we have originally in the spiritual world. It'll naturally come. So it's worth just knowing this for information. Not that we artificially try to cultivate something which we're not, but naturally this relationship will develop with the Supreme Lord. Oh, this is just showing exactly what Sanjana explained, the different types of relationships we can have. We've forgotten our relationship with God. The whole idea of human life is to re-establish that relationship, which we've forgotten. Okay.
Okay, so Manha, do you want to read these texts?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Text 8. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly known this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Text 9. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Text 10. To those who are constantly devoted to me, to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Text 11. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance.
These are key verses of the Bhagavad Gita. 4 key verses.
Yeah, so really, really important essential verses to the Bhagavad Gita, verses 8 to 11. And we learn about how we can kind of look at spirituality in its 3 key stages. We say that the first stage is entitled Sambandha, or knowledge of one's relationship with God and the universe. So developing that knowledge, coming to classes like this and learning a little bit more about our relationship to the spiritual world, our relationship to Lord Krishna, what is our purpose in the universe, how is it constructed, this all kind of knowledge outside of just the earthly material pleasures that we might have been looking at before. The second stage is the practice and application of that knowledge. So once we've got this knowledge, these little lessons that we're putting at the end of each summary, for example, that's the way that we can take that knowledge and put it into action. Because spiritual knowledge is not one of those things where you learn it just book by book and then do an exam on it and then you forget about it. It's a practical knowledge about how to live. So you have to try and apply it too. The third stage is in the mature fruit of this practice. So it's when we learn, when we eventually we put all of this into practice, we keep practicing it daily, and we finally cultivate this pure spiritual consciousness. And like Nabi Prabhu was saying, we fall back into this unbounded love of God through whatever relationship we have with Him as well. And this is known as prayojana. And this is why many people call actually what we find in the Bhagavad Gita as spiritual science. We get a hypothesis, sambandhana. Here's a kind of knowledge or theory about our relationship with Lord Krishna and the universe. We then get to experiment with it. So that's when we're practically putting that hypothesis into practice. And finally, we get to observe the results. So we can see the conclusion of that and see the theory and the practice combined for an effective conclusion. And these 4 verses give a good roadmap of how we can start our spirituality and where we might expect it to end as well.
Good.
So lesson 41. Those who are constantly devoted to serving Krishna with love will get the understanding by which they can come to me. So we see there's a verse, I think verse 11 then says, once we go through and try and learn the knowledge, apply the knowledge, Krishna will see those efforts and by special mercy, He will show us the light through which He can guide us out of the darkness. So that's a really, really nice one. It kind of links back to a verse that we were looking at a couple of weeks ago about how Krishna will carry what we lack. So really important, really nice.
Yeah, good link. Good link.
Okay. Ria or Akasha, do you want to read?
Yes, Mataji. Text 12 to 13. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Ashita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." Text 14. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me, neither the demigods nor the demons. O Lord, can understand your personality. Text 15. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, gods of gods, lords of universe. Text 16. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds. Text 17. O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? Thank you.
Oh, one more, sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. Text 18. O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satisfied in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
Really well done. Thanks very much. And here, even though we just get a short kind of section of the chapter, or a short kind of action in the chapter, is such an essential and important one, because we see once again Arjuna accepting Krishna as the Supreme Lord and stating that all the sages also accept this, so giving the scriptural further back authority as well. And so he also kind of pleads, he says, I want to know more about you. The more I hear about you, even more I want to hear about you. I think, again, 2 weeks ago or so, we were looking at how hearing is one of the most, the greatest way to start on our path of devotion, just like you all are doing now today. So this is where we can start by developing a desire to know more about Krishna. Once we start doing that, just by coming here, by listening, by asking questions, Krishna will also see that desire and he will fulfill it. He'll help us know more about his opulence and will give us the vision to see it in our day-to-day lives as well. And we'll see that we'll become even more convinced that he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And knowing and appreciating these pastimes and exchanges will really help us fall in love with Krishna as well. So not only to see him as a supreme being, but actually as a friendly person who we can have a proper connection with.
So that's a really good explanation. When we see somebody who's great, right? They've got a lot of, I don't know, possessions, money, respect, like maybe one of the richest men in the world, say Bill Gates or whoever, Steve Jobs. Now I know he's passed away. These were people who commanded respect, but that's not enough, right? You may respect them, but you may not love them because you don't know what they're like. This is the same with the Lord. Yes, he's great and we respect him, but we may not love him. But when we see his sweetness, how sweet the Lord is, how sweetly he interacts with us, we fall in love with him. That's what he wants. He wants us to fall in love with him. That's why he comes to our world and performs these incredible pastimes to show his sweetness. So now, what happened? Hang on a sec. Actually, now, what I was thinking, let me just have a quick look at this, sorry. Because so many devotees would like to read, what I was thinking, Sanjana, we've got the next load of texts in picture format. And I thought that might be better to read in a picture format these next verses, and many of the people, the children who'd like to read can read. What do you think?
That sounds good, yeah.
Okay.
So is it that one person reads each
One page? What do you think?
Okay, so like, for example, this takes 20, one person reads this whole page.
Yeah.
Okay, we will start with Veda.
I am the Super Soul, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings.
Brilliant. Abhijay?
Of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of light I am the radiant sun, of the Maruts I am a Marici, controlling deity of wind. Among the stars I am the moon.
Brilliant. Ishvari or Kishori? Which either one of you? One can go first, the next can go second.
Ishvari will go first. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the Vedas, I am Samaveda. Of the senses, I am the mind. In living beings, I am the living force, consciousness.
Cool. I think it's Ishvari very nice, isn't it?
Kishori.
Oh, sorry, Kishori.
Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. of the Yakshas and the Rakshasas. I am the Lord of Wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. Of mountains, I am Meru.
Great. Okay. And what about Ria? You can go. That's Rhia. Ria.
Of the priest, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief. Is it Brahaspati?
Brahaspati, yes, good.
Of the generals, I am Kartikeya.
Kartikeya.
Of the bodies of water, I am the ocean.
Brilliant. Srinitya.
Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, japa. Of immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of the great sages, I am
Brigu. Brigu.
Rigu.
Well done. Well done.
Well done. Pari?
Thank
Very question. Text 26. Among the perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha. Of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of all trees, I am Banyan tree.
Great. Thank you. And Rianch?
So, Ruji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Among men, I am the monarch. Of lordly elephants, I am Airavata. Of horses, know me to be Uchishrava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar.
Well done.
Brilliant. Arjun?
Of weapons, I am the thunder monk. Among cows, I am the surabhi. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. Of serpents, I am Vaisuki.
Brilliant. And either Riha or Akasha?
Is it okay if both of us read?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. Among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama. Among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death.
Brilliant. And Manhar?
I think Akasha wanted to read as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure if they read together or whether it was.
No.
Oh, no.
Akasha, do you want to go?
Among the Daitya, yeah. Among the Daitya demons, I am devoted Prahlad. Among subduers, I am Time. Among beasts, I am the lion. Among birds, I am Garuda. Thank you.
Brilliant. Manhar?
Hare Krishna. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the welders, I am weapons. I am Rama. I am weapons of. I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the shark. Of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges.
Okay. For the next one, there's quite a few people who put up their hands again, so I just want to check that I've not missed anyone who hasn't had the chance to read at all.
Arjun, I think. Arjun.
Okay, Arjun?
I already read.
Oh, okay.
Nimai?
Yes, Mataji. Among
Logicians.
logicians, I am the conclusive truth. Of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self.
Of all creation, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we can go to Mira.
Mhm.
Is it okay because I already read one?
Yeah, I think it's fine because I think from what I can see, everyone who has their hands up has already read once anyway. So
Good.
Okay. Among the compound words, I am the dual compound Ramakrishna. I am also the inexhaustible time. Of letters, I am the letter A.
There's one right at the bottom.
There is.
Oh, you can't see it. Of
Yeah, I can't see.
creators, I am Brahma.
okay. And back to either Ishvari or Kishori.
Is it all right if we do it one after another again?
Yeah.
Okay, Ishvari will go first. I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. I am all-devouring death. Of the hymns in the Sama Veda, I am the Brata Sama. Of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Margasirsa, November, December. Of seasons, I am flower-bearing spring.
OBJ?
I am also the gambling of cheats, of the splendid. I am the splendor. I am the victory. I am the strength of the strong. I am adventure.
Veda?
Of the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Of the sages, I am
Vyas.
Vyas. Among great thinkers, I am Unsa.
Ushana.
Ushana.
Sukracharya.
Of Sukracharya. Of the descendants of Vishnu, I am Vasudeva.
Very good.
Brilliant. Let's see. Rianch?
Yes, Mataji. Of secret things, I am silence. Of those who seek victory, I am immorality. Among all means of suppressing lawlessness, I am punishment. Of the wise, I am the wisdom.
Arjun?
There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. I am the generating seed of all existence.
So did you, yeah, all existence, yeah. Well done, well done. So that's the end of the chapter, Vibhuti Vishtara Yoga.
Do we need to do these last three? Or was that all covered, I think?
Oh, you're right. Yes, we can read those 3 verses. Very good. Well spotted.
Srinithya, do you want to read those?
Yes, please. Text 40. Almighty conqueror of the enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Text 41. Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from a spark of my splendor. Text 42. But what need is there, Arjuna? For all this detailed knowledge, with a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. And end of chapter 10. Vibhuti Vistara Yoga.
Well done, Srinitya. So good.
Thank you, Srinitya. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute. And let's just look at a brief summary of those many, many verses that we just made our way through, thanks to all of your wonderful readings. So Krishna describes some of the most prominent of his very limitless, pervading opulences. And when he does this, we can actually think about him and meditate on him. So by actually meditating on these verses, we can think about where we can see Krishna. The important thing to note here is, he's not physically the letter A on your keyboard or whatever device that you're looking at right now, but more that he is the source of their strength or their fame or their wealth and so on. So he is like the origin of those qualities. After naming 82 opulences, which seems like quite a lot, Krishna says that this is actually just the beginning. It's just a hint of his glory. And he is able to support the universe with a mere fragment of his energy, as Srinitya read so nice and clearly there. So what do we learn here? Well, Krishna is unlimited. We get a small hint of his opulences here, but we can remember that, he is very, very vast in terms of his opulences. And we should also know that Gomata is very special and dear to Krishna.
One of the things he says of animals, I think, I am Gomata, or I am Surabhi. He says Surabhi. So Krishna, he can't live without cows. So much of his day is spent looking after the cows. But if you look at our lives, we don't even think about the cows. Does anybody think about the cow even once a day? So get in the habit of thinking about the cow at least once a day, at least once, if not much more. Because Krishna can't live without cows, and we can't even think of cows. So if we want to become dear to Krishna, we can also think of cows, think of how Krishna tends and loves the cows. And that way, we will please Gomata, and by her blessings, we'll get Lord Krishna's blessings as well. So it's very important to understand Krishna is unlimited, but we can access his mercy, especially through Gomata. And that is one of his opulences as well. So that was very good. Thank you, Sanjana. Anything else you want to mention, Sanjana?
I think that's everything for now, but we'll see what comes up with the
questions. You're right. Very good point. So let's take some questions. We got a little bit of time today, which is good news because you always have so many nice questions. Ishwari.
I don't have a question. I have something to share though. So could I share?
Yeah.
Me and my sister and my parents, we have all like adopted cows, like sponsored them, so they're like part of our family, like calves and stuff. So like we do think about them quite often because we couldn't go visit them during lockdown.
Well done. And where is that?
Huglet's Wood Farm.
Oh, very good. Well done. Very good. Very impressive. Let us know if they have any more cows to adopt, huh? Your mother can message me.
Okay.
Arjun?
Who are Brigu, Brahaspati, and who are Brigu and Brahaspati and Shukracharya?
Very good question. Shall I take?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brahaspati, he is the spiritual master of the demigods. Indra, Brahma, Varun, all of these demigods. He is their guru. And Sukracharya, he is the guru of the demons on the other side, like Bali Maharaj, like the demons. Sukracharya is the spiritual master. And Sukracharya is pretty learned personality. Bhrigu is a great saint, a great sage. Krishna has immense respect for Bhrigu. One time, I just tell you one very short pastime. Bhrigu was asked by the demigods, who is the best of the Trinity, Vishnu, Mahesh, and Shiva? Sorry, Brahma. And Bhrigu said, yes, okay, I can go and check it out. He went to Lord Brahma, and what did he do? When he saw Lord Brahma, he did not bow down to him. Brahma got very angry, had a real go at him. What are you doing? I'm your superior. You're not bowing down to me when you see me? Then he went to Lord Shiva. And what did he do with Lord Shiva? He did something to annoy him. And Lord Shiva also got annoyed. I can't remember exactly what he did. And then Bhrigu went to Vishnu and kicked him in the chest. And Vishnu said to Bhrigu Muni, oh, my chest is very hard. Did you hurt your foot? Let me massage your foot because you must be hurting. So in this way, Bhrigu came back to the demigods and said, Vishnu is the best. So Bhrigu is a very powerful sage. And then I think that was it, right? Bhrigu, Sukracharya, and Brihaspati. Good question. And well spotted, well spotted. We went through the verses and you spotted those points and you asked the question. Thank you. Nimai?
So I have two questions, Prabhuji. So when they were saying that in the Pandavas, I am the Arjuna, does that mean that only Arjuna is the best between the Pandavas?
I think it's so they obviously all the Pandavas have their strengths, and they all very, very like virtuous in their own ways. This is why they come out of the war pretty much one of the only people unscathed, pretty much. The reason why Arjun is picked out from the Pandavas there is because Arjun has, I think, the closest relationship to Krishna and the closest appreciation of him as a devotee. So they're all devotees of Krishna, but as you will see in the Mahabharata, Arjun has a special relationship with Krishna, hence why Krishna and Arjun have the Bhagavad Gita conversation out of all of the Pandavas.
Okay. So my second question was, when they were saying that I am between the serpents, I am Vasuki, who is it supposed to be, Vasuki or Sheshnag? Like the Ananta Shesha?
It is Vasuki. Yeah, it is Vasuki. Apart from Sheshnag. And of course, Vasuki is ultimately an expansion of Shesh anyway. But yeah.
Okay.
But he's not a Vishnu Tattva expansion. He's just an ordinary soul who's empowered. So.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Shri Nitya.
Okay. So my question was, who is, okay, why are cows, why is Gaumata so dear to Krishna?
Very good question. Well, I think one of the things is that Gomata and cows in general, it's the way that they're able to provide for us in a unique way. So we can get, isn't it, fertility from cows, we can get food from cows, we can get, I'm trying to remember what the other things we need are. There's quite a lot that we can get from the cows. And also I think Gomata, oh, I think you're on mute, and if you're trying to talk for us.
Actually, Gaumata, if you look at Gaumata, right, everything about her is very dear. As Sanjana said, she gives milk. Even her urine is medicinal. Her cow dung is antiseptic. Her skin, of course, we don't use the skin of Gaumata, leather, unless Gaumata naturally dies, and then we're allowed to. Everything about Gaumata is very, very special, and she gives freely. In fact, one time Indra insulted Krishna so badly, yet Gaumata asked Krishna, please forgive Indra, and Krishna forgave Indra. So Gaumata is very, very, very dear to Krishna, extremely dear. She's so sweet, she's so loving. And we've heard so many experiences about how Gaumata reciprocates with human beings in such amazing ways, you know. So she's really very, very dear, very, very dear to Krishna. Ria.
What's the story of? What's the story? What's the story of? What's it called again? Hold on 1 second.
We'll come back to you. Meera.
Why is it not good to worship demigods?
It's not that it's not okay. So basically, it's not that we should disrespect the demigods. You know, I think it's not like mutually exclusive that you either serve Krishna and then don't serve the demigods. Demigods, after all, are supreme devotees of Lord Krishna, and they do a great amount of service to him. That's why they're in such an exalted position in the first place. But the point is that our wider goal is to transcend any material worship, and ultimately a lot of the demigods are still in the heavenly planets, which is in the material realm. So that's not going to get us out of material trappings. It's just sort of like a temporary fix. So, you know, since Krishna is kind of the origin of all of us, our Supreme Lord, there's no point kind of doing a cut through the demigods or putting our faith anywhere else when we can just have a direct line.
Okay, thank you.
Buddy?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Sanjana Mataji. My question is, it's to do with karma. So for example, everything that happens, everything unfortunate that happens to us is our karma from the past, right? So, but what if someone does something to us? Is that still our karma, or is that because they chose to do their bad karma?
Hare Krishna, Pari. I think that's a really good question, because it's something that I think I really struggled with for a long time, right? With even if I stop doing anything bad, or I completely dovetail all my actions or whatever, like, you know, if someone's still acting on me, what is that? Am I still experiencing that karma? Do I still have to come back and return that if they've done, you know what I mean? Are our souls entangled? And I think the one thing is we can never escape the karma that we will have to face, that someone is enacting on us from our past lives. We can't escape that. So whatever, you know, that might be happening to us externally, disease or someone being horrible to us or something like that, we can take the attitude of this is something that's happened in the past. We have to live through it. We just continue our service to Krishna and go beyond and above. Now, in terms of the person who's actually enacting it, I think that's a bit more difficult, because part of it is, you know, they've got the free will to choose to be jealous of you, or maybe to be horrible to you, and they might be creating karmas in that way. But I don't know if there's sometimes any specific, like, you know, does Krishna choose people to act to kind of serve back those karmas? I think Nabi probably might be able to provide a little bit more clarity on that one.
Yeah, you're right. It's very complex. If somebody's done something to us, is it their karma to do that to us? Possibly in the previous life, you know, we may have done something to somebody and they basically are effectively acting out, being the instrument of our karmic reaction. So we should never get angry at the instrument. If somebody is nasty to us, It's not easy to do this, but the thinking behind that is, okay, somebody is being nasty to us. It's not that person who I should be angry at. It's myself for having incurred that karma in the past in the first place. But now it's done. That person's been rude to me. It's done. I will not be rude back to that person, because now if I'm rude to that person, because they were rude to me, I'm going to entangle myself in more karma. So you know what? I'm going to draw the line. I'm going to put a stop to it. I'm not going to react.
And is that when karma comes into place?
Sorry?
Is that when karma comes into place?
It's sort of our, yes, you could say it's our karma. Our karma technically is where it's spiritually based. So if your reasoning is, I'm going to put a stop to the karmic reaction, and because I want to become dedicated to God, it's our karma. It is our karma. Okay. Absolutely right. But if somebody is being harassed, for example, and we can't take the view that, oh, you're being harassed because it's the instrument, or it's their karma. If somebody's being harassed, then you take action, whatever action you're able to take, right? Not that you go and suddenly, you pick up a knife and do something, not like that. Whatever action is within your capacity, you need to take. You phone the police, whatever it is, So that, their karma doesn't work. You can't walk away from a situation, leaving somebody in some distress. So it is extremely complicated, and as you grow older, you'll realize where to act and where not to act, and especially in terms of spirituality. If you're learning the Bhagavad Gita, this is really the roadmap to living life, and you will be in a very strong position how to deal with challenging situations going forward. So I'm really happy, Pari, that you you really taking advantage of what we're able to share. So thank you.
Okay.
Ria?
What's the story of Navaratri?
Oh, that is effectively very short, because it's a little out of our sort of curriculum here. It's effectively the 9 days of the battle between Lord Ramachandra's army, the monkey army, and Ravan's demon army. It's 9 days of the fighting. That's Navratras. It's also connected to Durga Mata, but I'm not too familiar with that pastime. I am much more aware of the 9 days of the battle between the demons and the demigods, demons and the monkey army. And on the 10th day, the Sera, was when Ramachandra's army, the monkey army. Ishwari.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions, and Kishri's got 1, and Kishri wants to go first. Why did Lord Vishnu create demigods?
I think it was partly kind of to help, well, not to help, but because Krishna could have, he was very welcome to have done it all himself. He's got the power to, but because Krishna wants to spend time with his devotees in the spiritual world, he wants to enact pastimes for the kind of running and the like kind of maintenance of the spiritual world. He has these expansions to help with that, I think. So, got the Brahmas who help with creation, and Shiva, who serves in kind of purifying and destroying when it needs to be, and things like that. Nabi, probably, did you want it?
No, that's right. That's absolutely right. They assist the Lord in running the universe. And there are many people who have this desire to help the Lord to run the universe. They may feel that they want to assist the Lord, or they may want to become the king of heaven like Indra. So Krishna fulfills their desires. That's why.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
And my 2 questions is, Why did Yudhishthir lose the dice match if he was honest and kind and Duryodhan was evil? Why did Duryodhan win and Yudhishthir lose?
Very good question,
Mhm.
Ishwari. And I think one that I'm sure many of you, like myself, would have maybe had thought about, or think, it's something that's a very confusing scene, I think, in the Mahabharata, especially because Yudhishthir is known as someone who's supposed to be quite kind, honest, also knowledgeable, and wise. And there's a real lesson that we can actually learn from this story of Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir gets carried away with the dice game. This is what happens: is he gets very, very caught up in trying to win it, and we see the consequences that happen is that he loses all sense of perspective. So he's starting to put his brothers on the table, starting to put Draupadi on the table. And for this is a reminder, I think, to us that actually the forces of Maya are very, very strong. And if they can capture someone like Yudhishthir, who knows Krishna, who's in an earlier age, who is very, very wise, then I think it's a real clear kind of warning sign to us about how easily we can fall into those traps as well. So I think it's a pastime with a lesson. And although Duryodhan was very cunning, because Duryodhan also has his mama cheats a little bit on that game, so he has that added advantage, which is also why Yudhishthir loses a little bit. But even though there is trickery going on in that game, I think there is a lesson to learn that we should not get carried away in the same way that Yudhishthir falls into that trap.
Also, the Mahabharata wouldn't have taken place, and also if Yudhishthir hadn't lost the game, because they all led up to the Mahabharata, and then there would have been no Bhagavad Gita, and we wouldn't be in this Zoom session talking about Bhagavad Gita. So there's always a plan. The Lord has a better plan. So Yudhishthir's losing was part of the Lord's plan.
Okay, and my second question is it disrespectful to take like the leather from a cow once they've died? Like, shouldn't you like honor them or cremate them for being so pure to Krishna rather than take the leather if they've naturally died?
So I think the important thing to note there is that although Gomata is very special to Krishna, and the cows are very special to Krishna, ultimately, just like our human body, the body of a material cow is a material body. So the soul has gone back to probably the Gomata Krishna, or has been reincarnated, or depending on consciousness, etc. So at that point, cremation is actually just you either cremate it and then the body goes, or you find a way to kind of use the body in a way that might bring service.
Yes,
especially if you're using it in spiritual service, and then there's no kind of qualms about that, I don't think.
That's correct. Very good. Good analysis.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So Rianch, you ready with the Kahoot, huh?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so I tell you what, everybody can log in. You've put the password on the chat, so everybody can log on. And whilst we were waiting for everybody to log on, there's somebody already still got their hands up, so we can ask if they've got questions. Pari, did you have a further question?
Sorry, I forgot to put my hand down after my.
Oh, no problem. Srinitya?
Oh,
If you don't have a question, it's okay. Everybody can log on to the Kahoot with the password or passcode that Rianch has given, and let's start the quiz.
yeah.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Unfortunately, I don't know why this happens every Sunday. I always have something straight after, so I have to.
That's okay.
Go. But wonderful questions. Like I always say, nearly every week I learn more from you than I could possibly teach. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoy the quiz as well.
Thank you. No, thank you, Sanjana. Wonderful as always.
Thank you.
And I hope everybody's put their names in the chat so that we register you. We do occasionally miss you if your name is not on the screen or something happens. So do put your name on the chat. And the chat should generally be just used for that purpose, nothing else, okay? So,
Bhagavad, I'm not able to join the Kahoot. It says my nickname's already taken.
oh, so does that mean that somebody's using your Kahoot?
Who is it? Oh, not right now.
That's a bit strange. Let's have a look at who's on. Riansh, share your screen. Riansh, share your screen of the Kahoots. Let's see who's on there.
Prabhuji, but it's telling that host disabled participant screen sharing.
No, you can do it now.
Yes, Prabhuji, can you see?
Yes. Okay, let's see. Pari, you're not on there. It's Priya, Nimai.
That's strange. It's still saying sorry that nickname's taken.
Oh, how about you?
That's happened with me before and it hasn't worked the first time. You just have to close Kahoot and try again.
Okay.
And maybe with a
now Pari came.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're in. You're in. Well done, Pari. Everybody in? Anybody missing?
I think they are joining still.
Okay. So today's quiz is done by Riansh. Well done, Riansh. Who wants to do next week's quiz? Shri Nitya, would you like to do next week's quiz?
Yes, please. I would.
So you'll have to send me, or your mom can send me a draft of it. Oh, yeah, send it to me and I'll send it to Chitra, so that we just have a quick look at it before we do it, yeah? So send it to me by Wednesday or Thursday, your questions, yeah? And 10 questions, okay? And then following week, Ria, if you can do. All right, I think everybody's in now. So you can start.
Okay, Prabhuji, can I start?
Yes, thank you.
Chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. No. Why did Krishna share this secret knowledge with Arjuna? Arjuna was his cousin. Arjuna needed it to fight. Arjuna was non-envious to Krishna. Arjuna was his charioteer.
Good. Very good.
No. Next question. This knowledge of chapter 9 in Bhagavad Gita is king of knowledge, most confidential, purifies our sinful reactions, or all of the above. So the answer is all of the above. Next question. What is the promise made by Krishna to the persons who serve him with devotion and surrenders fully unto him? I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. I connect with them and preserve what they have. I carry what they lack and fulfill their desires. None of this. Which is the correct answer? So the answer is I carry what they lack and preserve what they have.
That was in chapter 9.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Shwa.
Next question. What does Krishna ask Arjuna to declare boldly? Krishna is super easy to attain. Leave all religion and surrender to Krishna. Krishna devotees never perishes. None of these. Which is the correct answer? So the answer is Krishna devotees never perishes.
Very good questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Lokeshwar is maintaining his position. And up to 9 places, Ved is the first climber. Next question. Demigod worship is a or an dash way of worshipping Krishna. Is it approved, same, indirect, or satisfying? So the answer is indirect worshipping Krishna.
16 got it right. That's very good.
All are maintaining their positions.
Mm.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through creation, his energies, his existence, or gross material senses that we have. Like earth, fire, air, ether.
16 again. Very good.
All of them are getting right.
Okay,
So
sure.
Pari has came second.
Pari. Whoa.
Next question. Who is asking to work, eat, give charity and perform austerities to be done as an offering to Krishna? Who is telling? Vyasdev, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, Lord Krishna or Sukadeva Goswami?
Only 3 got it. Actually, Prabhupada as well, but Krishna is explaining in the 9th chapter like that.
Yes, Prabhuji. So Lokeshwar, so Prathamesh has became first and
Wow.
Lokeshwar second. Prathamesh Jack has the highest streak, answer streak of 4
Okay.
in a row. The material nature without the superintendence of Dash cannot do anything. Is it his qualities, Krishna, demigods, all of the above? And his qualities means it's material nature qualities, not Krishna's qualities. So the answer is Krishna.
8 only, huh? Okay.
But 11 of them clicked all of the above. This is double points. What is the biggest manifestation we can conceive? Is it sky, space, universe, or atom?
Tough question, this one.
Yes, Rosie. Only one got it right.
Yeah. Tough question.
As I expected. So we can't conceive till universe, we can conceive till sky and space only. So Prathamesh and others are leading their positions. Next question. At the end of millennium, every material manifestation enters into Krishna's nature, new era, Brahma's nostrils, none of this.
Another tough one.
This is a bit easy. So
Good.
the answer is Krishna's
18.
nature.
Very good. Very good. Okay, let's see who's come where.
So third is
Yeah,
Nature is Brahma's nostrils.
and the second place goes to Meera and the first place goes to Prathamesh.
Prathamesh, wow.
And the runners up are Lokeshwar and Riya.
Wow. Well done. Well done. Very good. Good questions and good answers, but mostly. So well done, everybody. Thank you so much. So we shall look forward to seeing everybody next week. We will be doing the 11th chapter, which is quite a tough chapter. Shri Nitya, did you have a question?
This is Srinitya's dad, Guruji, Nakul.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I want